the audio because I think there might be some cursing and carrying on going on. But have you guys seen this? This is a gal that's trying to defend herself and her sisters from some of these migrant gangs. We all know what that's code for now, right? Yeah. Apparently she is sick of it. And of course, I guess we're going to find out what happened to her, but she's being turned into an international hero or heroine because, in fact, she's not putting up with this garbage anymore. She's trying to defend herself and her sister. So, with all else that's going on in the country and the world, this is getting ignored, but it's not going to get ignored tonight. We're going to talk about it and the fact that leaders have put young ladies in peril and they're having to defend themselves because there's a lack of men today in parts of America and the world, where we'll tell you where this occurred, who are not protecting these young ladies. So we're going to talk about that. Let's talk about Venezuela. Troops going toward Venezuela, U.S. troops. What's that really all about? Does it have anything to do with Iran, actually? We're going to talk about that. And the shooter in Minneapolis. Many people are missing that this was a red-green axis attack. I believe that. Annie believes it. She'll be with us tonight. Annie Cyrus, first guest up. This was a red-green axis attack. Islam and Marxism, cultural Marxism combined. We'll explain why. And then Jericho, our reporter on the ground in Israel, takes us on a personal tour. You know, we've been paying him some honorariums to go out in the field, brought to you by our foundation, by the way. We've been paying him to go out and to go to different places, the Dead Sea, many other places. And this now he's gone to Jericho. Remember the walls of Jericho? And so we're going to bring you a personal tour from our reporter and our tour guide, Aharon Levarko, taking us to Jericho tonight. Brought to you by our foundation. In part, worldviewfoundation.com helps us push out this programming and keep our reporter on the ground in Israel reporting and touring. You help make it possible. Worldviewfoundation.com. Then I want to talk to Michael Weiner about stable coins, the reset of the global currency. Gold is up over $3,400 tonight. Silver is over $39 tonight. Where are we going economically? Are we moving into inflation that could become hyperinflation? Of course, the debasement of the U.S. dollar, this reset that's coming. What will this reset? The Great Reset. What will this mean? Isn't it interesting the things that Klaus Schwab was talking about? Now we see that happening. The Great Reset. What will that mean for you, for me, for your purchasing power? So much to get to tonight. Let's see. Before we do, let's go to a wide shot. Constantly getting people asking about Dolly, the studio dog. Is she going to appear in that wide shot? Yep. A little bit, kind of in the dark, but there she is, laying on her side, chilling, just chilled by her dad. She's happy. She's happy. So she's here. We got a lot of people question and ask us, how's Dolly doing? Dolly's doing great, folks. Dolly's doing awesome. So there you go. All right. I am also doing awesome because I'm taking my Gatatana every day, each and every day. I drink my Gatatana, my glutathione. I hope you'll get it. Go to melissahousegpa.com, loaded with all kinds of nutrients. By the way, Dolly gets half a scoop of this powder. I get a full scoop, and it goes all the way to my cells to feed my mitochondria and boost my own immune system. Remember the man that developed it was fighting cancer. They told him he was toast. He was done. A few weeks to live. He starts eating this plankton, phytoplankton that he was raising for his crayfish or whatever. And the guy goes on to live another 10 years. The biopsies came back benign. So I drink it each and every day. I'll finish that later because we got to get going. We got a lot to get to. But folks, it's the real deal. I also take Bella Grace every day. I took it recently, so it's not here at the desk because a full one. I took it. I recommend you take that too. These are great ways to stay healthy. And you know that I swish every day with Numi, loaded with glutathione to detox your cells. And some studies show may remove mercury from your brain, helping prevent Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's. So that is available as well as swishforlife.com. So glutathione, my Gatatana, and my Numi, my Bella Grace, and my Gatatana. All right? You can always find all of this and all of our other sponsors at worldviewtube.com/sponsors, worldviewtube.com/sponsors. There it all is right there, worldviewtube.com. Well, that's actually the national conference coming up. There we go. There it is, worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Speaking of which, it is coming up Friday night, October 3rd, Saturday, October 4th. Make sure you're getting your tickets. All the information is there, hotel information, restaurants, the schedule, everything is at worldviewstore.com, or you can call and register over the phone if you want, 901-825-0652, 901-825-0652. If you go to the bottom of the conference page, I think our phone number is on there. Yes, it is. There's one of the numbers right there. That'll get you there too. Or Melissa's direct number, 901-825-0652. If you have a monthly membership to the Vault or a year membership to the Vault, you're going to be able to live stream this national conference. We'd love to have you in person, but if you prefer to stay home and watch it, you'll be able to do that as a Vault member. One of the many benefits of being a Vault member is such things as this. More to come, of course. Worldviewtube.com/Vault, worldviewtube.com/Vault. But we invite you to check out all of our sponsors at worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Joining me now is Annie Cyrus to talk about what just happened in Minneapolis from a perspective that almost no media outlet is talking about, but this one. And of course, Annie's part of that network and has her own Substack where she's talking about it as well. And then we want to talk about this little gal right here. I think her name is Lola. Have any of you seen this video go viral? I can't play the audio because they get some cussing in there. But this little gal, these little gals overseas are tired of apparently being accosted and some of them sexually assaulted in this country. And apparently when she was confronted, boom, out comes the axe and the little sword. And I think there's a bigger story behind this. And she's being made into a heroine by many people. They're now taking her picture and turning it into a poster and saying, look, this little gal's sick of it, and she's going to defend herself and her family and her friends. And there she is. I wouldn't want to be messing with her. Let's find out what this is really all about. Let's start with that one. That one is very intriguing. Her name is Lola. Annie, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me back, Brannon.
Where is Lola? What country is she in?
If I got the reports correct, she is in UK.
Oh.
Yes, she is in UK.
She's a little Scottish girl. She's 12.
She's 13.
She was defending her 13-year-old sister.
Oh, okay. So the older sister is 13.
Yep.
There you go.
Defending her 13-year-old sister, Ruby, who was attacked and beaten and hospitalized by 2 foreign nationals. What have they done to her? Hopefully they haven't arrested her or charged her or anything, have they?
The story on the GoFund says that she was arrested, actually. She was arrested. There is no record if she has been set free, on bail or anything. But on the GoFundMe page, it does say that she got arrested because the report goes with where we have this GoFundMe to get ahead of all the legal fees they're going to have to face. She was arrested. The other guy, however, was not arrested. And here's the part you don't see on the video. You do hear her. The camera person behind the camera is a man. My best guess they throw a couple of Arabic words in there. So the pronunciation, the accent, and the fact that I actually couldn't understand 2 of the Arabic words, and that normally goes under Egyptian Arabic or Syrian Arabic that I always struggle to understand. So one of those countries could be where they're from, foreign. There's a woman also who's talking in a few Arabic words with the guy. Apparently that woman, the foreign national woman, ends up attacking after Lola kind of slowly walks away. She attacks the sister, the older girl in the video. And as she's kicking her on the ground, Lola comes back attacking her. So the police used the excuse that Lola attacked the foreign national woman and arrested her, but they never arrested the foreign national woman who kicked Ruby. Which I'm not surprised because that's a double standard everywhere. not just wherever that was. But and then the backstory is before time and time over, the two sisters and their other friend have been verbally abused by, we're going to keep going with foreign, or we're just going to call it the Muslim refugees in Europe. I think we should just do that. Abused verbally, sexual comments made towards them, few times touched. So if anybody's questioning why would a 12-year-old suddenly be so aggressively triggered, this is why. They complained, and complaints were nowhere. Nobody bothered. It's kind of, what do? You realize you're on your own. And at age 12, I guess there is no Second Amendment wherever she's at. Therefore, she figures, I'm just going to have all of these weapons, cold weapons that I guess she knows how to use or she feels comfortable with. I don't necessarily, it breaks my heart, Brannon, when I saw this video the first time, on a personal note, I started seeing my own face on her for a minute. I'm like, why am I understanding your frustration so good right now? It's heartbreaking that a 12-year-old need to get to a point of doing what she did. I don't necessarily approve of her method, but then I completely understand why she would do what she did.
Well, she's kind of becoming an icon. Here's a cartoon. Why aren't there any men helping us? Britain has no men. We're on our own.
That's what I figured. She is a Scottish, but this video was like they're in UK, because that's what I read on so many of the reports, that this was in UK. Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, a long time ago, I think if I'm correct, in 2019, one of the questions you asked me while producing your 8-hour documentary, The Siege, you actually asked me, said, Annie, why are these Muslim men in Europe easily, raping European girls and women? And why are the women are being told, if you get into a cab or an Uber, keep your head down and don't look at the man? Remember that question?
Oh, yeah, sure do.
9 years ago. And today, finally, women and girls are fed up. It's so frustrating when they know nobody's coming to rescue them. How many more grooming cases need to be closed without any indictments and any guilty verdicts until girls realize they're on their own? Nobody's coming to rescue them in Europe.
Let's switch. Well, pray for Lola and her family. That's terrible. Let's switch to the tragic shooting in Minneapolis. We had other topics. We mentioned it briefly yesterday, but we had other topics we already had scheduled and done a lot of work and research on. But at the same time, we like to kind of let things play out a little bit, because after that, we start getting more information, more accurate information. And this is something that, really you and I have been talking about now for so many years, the red-green axis. You've written a Substack on it, I think. This killing in Minneapolis is a red-green axis terrorist attack, was it not? Embodied in one person.
Let me make sure. Yes, I literally started my Substack. Well, I titled the Substack. If you were ever going to witness red-green axis in action, you did. Yesterday in Minneapolis. You watched it. By definition of what a lot of people don't understand. When even a non-Muslim, the man who has never said the Shahada, is a soldier of red-green axis. That's what this guy was about. And I've been heavily attacked today, Brannon, due to my Substack.
Really? Why? What are people saying?
Well, apparently me saying, I didn't even say wrong. I said that the headlines are, the left, of course, as usual, they're calling gun control. And then you have the right who are screaming, focusing on the trans left crazy anti-Trump narrative. And then you have some of the counter jihad coverages just calling out the Islam part. I didn't even say they're all wrong. I said they're all tunnel vision. Let's look at the bigger picture. And yes, there is a difference. When it's Islam by itself, we call it jihad. When it's red-green axis, we call it red-green alliance. We cannot be so tunnel. We're so focused on one side of the problem. And apparently that was insulting. A lot of people were offended from every corner, saying, somebody actually wrote me a response to my Substack saying, it's disappointing for you to try to brush off the Islam part of it. I'm like, no, I didn't. Green on red green is the Islam part. So I want to be very clear again. Yes, all of those elements are part of what happened, but those elements together create red green. If we constantly look at one side and not the other, we will constantly have blood of our innocent children on the floors of schools, churches, and synagogues.
And then, of course, at some point, this kid, he's showing his clips, and I apologize for the swearing on here, the F word on there, but we are doing the news here. At some point, he had some Arabic words or something on there about Allah or something, if Allah wills it or something, right?
MashaAllah, yes. Yes, he did. And that's the thing. You look at the poster, I phrased the poster, but here's what I did, Brannon. I spent a couple of hours, gathered all the pictures that were available, all of it. And I put them together like a collage. And I started staring at it, and that's when it's like, oh, look, red-green axis. Right there. Between the 6 millions wasn't enough, and Israel must fall. You see the Nazism, right? And then right in between that, you see, mashallah. Again, this guy was not a convert. He was not a practicing Muslim. Then that's where the bigger danger comes in, Brannon. Where do we look now? They have their high-ranking Muslim jihadists. Now they have the secondary rank jihadists who don't even bother to say the Shahada or become a Muslim, but they're fighting for them.
6 million wasn't enough. 6 million, he says, was not enough. And then he's got that Mashallah.
Mashallah.
Is that how you say it?
Yes, mashallah. Which is, it's a very well-known Arabic phrase. But most of the time when you see a non-Arabic speaking person spells it out, they misspell it. Just like most of the time they misspell Allahu Akbar. This guy had it right. Perfectly properly spelled with English alphabet.
And why I know he went to the school. I guess his mom reportedly taught at the school. But why would he attack the Catholic school? The Catholics aren't like, I mean, we have a lot of Catholic viewers I know, so I'm not trying to stir up trouble or insult anybody, but you know that there's a tension between a lot of Catholics and Jews, but there's a lot of tension between Christians and Jews because, as my friend Arnold Fruchtenbaum, Jewish, says, he's a Messianic Jew, meaning he believes Yeshua is Messiah. He says, we have to understand, a lot of the Jews hear the word Christian and they think Nazi Germany because Hitler claimed to be Christian, right? He wasn't, but he claimed to be. It was politically expedient, like a lot of politicians. Some of the churches over there would display the cross and the Nazi symbol at the same time at their ceremonies or their conventions, their church conventions. The different denominations in Germany, Protestant, dissolved their denominations and united under the Reich bishop handpicked by Adolf Hitler. Mueller was his name. So when Jews hear the word Christian, they get nervous until they're like, oh, you're a Christian Zionist. Okay. Then they get a little more, okay. But the word Christian is a problem for them. When they hear Catholic, they might have a problem because there's always been, that the Jews were the Christ killers. So there is that tension between the Catholics and the Protestants. The Catholics and the Protestants have this tension with Jews, and we sometimes have to explain to them, hey, wait a minute, well, I'm not one of those. I'm a Christian Zionist. But the Catholic Church, by and large, and again, I'm not trying to label everyone the same thing because there are some Catholics that are that would be considered Zionists. They're Zionists. But as a historical deal, a lot of the Catholic Church isn't really known for being Zionist, are they, Annie?
No, they're not. And that is the one and only question I did propose on my Substack. If this guy's agenda was his hatred for Trump and he felt unaccepted by society due to being a trans and just hated Israel, why would he go into a Catholic school? And the answer to that question is the narrative has gone so deep in our country, in America, when you have streets and schools and city halls and campuses filled with pro-Hamas narrative, they don't sit there and think, Brannon, what is the difference between a Christian Zionist versus Messianic Jew versus Catholic? Question is, are you a Muslim? No. Okay, you shall be killed. Do you hate Israel and you want to kill all Jews? No. Okay, then I'll kill you. That's their bottom line. While we're so busy fighting each other, I don't fight others, but a lot of people fight me over what you just described and explained. While we're busy, Christians busy fighting each other over Zionism was Christ's teaching or not. And if you're a Zionist, you're not a true Christian. If you're a Catholic, you're not a true Christian. We're becoming the new face of Islam, where if Sunni, Shia, Wahhabis kill each other, right? Except that we don't kill each other, we just, disown each other. While we're trying to spread that division, the red-green axis is taking us out regardless of which the side of aisle we belong to. And that's the biggest problem we're facing. People need to stop. I'm gonna pretend like what you just said was a direct question to me, and I always answer it this way. Did Hitler claim to be a Christian? Yes. Do you find a verse in Bible that says kill all Jews? No. End of story. Did Pharisees vote for crucifixion of Christ? Yes. Do you find anything in their book that says kill non-believers? No. But guess where you do find it? In the Quran. So the claim of a faith is different than the actual faith. For anyone who hides behind, well, Hitler was a Christian, well, Pharisees were a Jew, well, that guy who went and killed other people was a Christian, there's a difference. Yes, we have Christians who commit unforgivable sins by humans, not by God. Yes, we have Jews who self-sabotage because they're not well informed. But Muslims do what they do because it has been dictated to them through their quote-unquote religion. That's where we draw the line. Unless I missed those verses in Bible. Did I?
No. In fact, Genesis 12, verse 3 says, I'll bless those who bless you, I'll curse those who curse you, talking about the Jews, and that Israel will be a blessing to all the nations. Now, some of that, I think, doesn't get explained very well. I think one of the ways we bless the Jewish people is by sharing the gospel with them, the same way we bless anybody, right? What's the greatest blessing of all? The birth of Jesus Christ and his laying down his life. He who knew no sin became sin for us that we might become the righteousness of God. The greatest blessing you can give to someone is explaining the gospel to them, including Jews. I'll bless those who bless you. Well, how do we bless our Jewish friends? We share Jesus with them. Like my friend Olivia Melnick, Messianic Jew. My friend Arnold Frutenbaum, Messianic Jew. My friend Marty Getz, Messianic Jew. Right?
Aharon Levarko, right?
Aharon, yes. Aharon Levarko, reporter in Israel, Messianic Jew. Now, do I have friends that aren't Messianic? Yeah, I do. Do some of them have a little frustration with the Messianic Jews? Some of them do. Some of them do, yeah. For some reason, they don't have a frustration with me. They like me, even though they don't, but they know I'm a Christian Zionist. But they have a little bit of a problem with the Messianic Jews because there's some tension there between the Jews and the Messianic Jews. But the reality is, someone took the time to share the gospel with all of those Messianic Jews. They will tell you it's the greatest blessing they ever received. And some of those people that did that were Gentiles, by the way. Uh-huh. And then it says that the nation of Israel will be a blessing to the whole world. you'll be a blessing to the nations. Well, in many regards, Israel even today has blessed us with technology, fruit, flowers to the world, technology, hydration, making water right out of the air that can be used for, growing things, medicine, cell phones, thumb drives. I can keep going on. But reality
Can
also.
I add one very major blessing to the list you just gave?
Yeah.
Israel has also been the front shield against Islamic jihad, protecting us.
That's a
If
great
Israel
point.
wasn't there, all of those jihadists would be here.
That's a great point. And I think that blessing of Israel being a blessing to the nations, a lot of that will be fulfilled in the millennial kingdom. Because the Israel will be the center point of where Christ is ruling and reigning. And we just got done studying that in the first part of Revelation chapter 20. We're now going into more detail on that in our next study after Labor Day. And the nations are all coming to Israel. They're coming to Jerusalem. They're coming there to worship the Lord and to bring, pay homage or pay worship. So at some point, Jerusalem itself will be a blessing to all the other nations in the millennial kingdom. So I think even aspects of Genesis 12, verse 3 are now and then also into the future in the millennial kingdom. And we'll find out just how that is the case. But these are conversations that people don't want to have because they don't want to pick a side on Bible prophecy, right? And they don't seem to understand these things. And sadly, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I've interviewed several times, and I agree with her on so much, but she keeps going on Steve Bannon, and they're talking about things like, Israel's using aid to starve the Gazans and different things have been reported. I'm just getting tired of the fact that we can't have a conversation and understand what's going on in that region and separate fact from fiction and stop buying into the propaganda. Is Israel a perfect nation? No, they are not. Neither are we. But I don't see Israel starving them. But yet this is coming out of MAGA. So we've got a problem in the churches of America. We've got a church problem in MAGA. And people say, well, you're just a propagandist yourself, Howse, for Zionism. Well, I know people may say that, but you and I deal with facts. We're not propagandizing. We're dealing with facts. Israel is not a perfect nation, and I don't really trust some of their government, right?
Well,
but I don't trust my own federal government a lot of the time. But I'm separating the Jewish people and their historical and biblical right from the land from the government. But I'm really frustrated that MAGA and so much of even the Christianity in America just doesn't want to have the kind of conversations we're having right now.
Yes, and it's very interesting you went there with the conversation. By the way, side note, Representative Greene and Steve Bannon, if you got a minute, there's a Substack I released titled, Who's Starving Gaza? Read that with receipt, fact, from the mainstream reporting. I put the proof on the table that Israel is not blocking roads. They are allowing trucks in. And who's starving Gaza has nothing to do with Israel and everything to do with Hamas, with the new checkpoint members over there who are literally stealing trucks, admitting that they are stealing it, but because Hamas is stealing more, then they're not guilty of anything. I also mentioned that whilst you sit on different shows screaming about Israel is starving Gaza, 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 how come you're not sitting there and saying, hey, why is Egypt not opening the border for aid to go in? Because for the record, Gaza also have a shared border with Egypt, and Egypt government has very clear said we are not opening that border because we do not want to deal with Palestinians. How come we're not all going after Egypt? I don't know. But if they need information, I've been providing information. Now, back to what you were saying. Also, something I brought up today again, Brannon, on a discussion was one of the ways we can bless Israel is actually by calling out the government of Israel when there's corruption, when there's wrongdoing. I remember you, Brannon, on your program, came out very much, called out Netanyahu and his entire administration when they turned their citizens into lab rats during COVID.
Yep.
You did that.
Yep.
That is blessing Israel. Because remember, anti-Semitism is when you are hostile to a Jew. Criticism is not hostility. So we are, yes, we're Christian Zionists. We don't turn our back on the land or the people, but we also do our jobs and we call out corruption or wrongdoing of the government of Israel, just like we do it with our own government or any other government. The problem, Brannon, is people have become so lazy that trying to differentiate, trying to draw lines, trying to connect dots equals too much work. Therefore, they just grab a big, giant, generic brush over every topic and every subject.
Mm-hmm. And I asked on radio today, is the polling such in Georgia, which is supposed to be part of the Bible Belt, is the polling in Georgia such that conservatives and Christians in her district, Marjorie Taylor Greene's district, are now feeling the way they do about Israel, that she is okay as a member of Congress who's up for election every 2 years, which means she's basically campaigning constantly because it's such a short 24-month window. Is the polling data so much in agreement with her that she can say this? And if that's the case, then we have a real problem in the Bible Belt, and we have a real problem amongst self-described America First and so-called conservatives, if that's where we're going as a collection of people in that supposedly conservative Bible Belt, America First realm. I think she's seeing polling data that makes her say, I can say this and it's not going to impact my reelection.
Absolutely. She has. And it's not just about her position. The same thing is applying to other people. I mean, we're both noticing. After everything Tucker Carlson has done in last 3 months, his ratings are up, not down.
Have you seen the clips of Tucker Carlson talking about Islam and the old Tucker versus the new Tucker?
Yes, I have. And
It's in bookmarks, Logan? Oh, really? Right here? Wow, look at that. How'd you know I was going to use that tonight? He didn't. He just liked it and bookmarked it. Well, there you go. See, you can tell he's my son. You know, we're tracking. Okay, watch this new Tucker and old Tucker. Here we go. Watch this.
And welcome to the very first episode of Tucker Carlson Today. We had a broad range of possibilities for the first person to talk to as we begin this new show, this new series. But really, in the end, there was only one choice. The one person we know who has crystal clarity on what's happening, not just in this country, but in the world. Someone who's watched it and chronicled it for years now. His name is Douglas Murray.
I know Douglas, and I think that I've always gotten along with him, and I think that he's clever, but he's hardly an expert on anything. Well, so right. Like, what?
I don't think Trump would be a good president. I think he'd probably cancel the next election if he got elected. You know.
It happened because we didn't understand the country we preside over. And by we, not just the political class in D.C., but anybody with authority or money in the United States.
Referring to Trump, Carlson says, I hate him passionately. I can't handle much more of this.
We are very, very close to being able to ignore Trump most nights. I truly can't wait, Carlson texted.
That Trump is, in his words, a demonic force, a destroyer, but he's not gonna destroy us.
It's such an honor to be here, and it's wild. Just another day following Bobby Kennedy Jr. at a Donald Trump rally in Madison Square Garden. I mean, what?
America's supporting Israel because it's an ally.
I don't even know what those words mean. I'm just saying my principle.
They're an ally, right? I mean, they both.
I don't know what that means to be an ally.
Qatar is like one of our closest allies in the world. The largest American air base in the Middle East is in Qatar. They're a close ally of ours.
The Chinese coronavirus is a major event. It will affect your life. And by the way, it's definitely not just the flu.
Was it 2012, 2013? I read up more people died of the flu that year than COVID.
Yeah. Would you know anyone who died of COVID?
Did people really die of COVID?
I don't know. I never knew anyone who did.
Nuclear technology. They've only been used once. If you
end up killing, incinerating tens of thousands of civilians, that's just a bad thing. Let's just be honest, that's just a bad thing.
And I just don't understand why you're not calling for the use of nuclear weapons against the Ayatollah right now. I'm serious. If you really believe they're trying to murder...
The use of nuclear weapons, see,
whatever
that's part
it
of the
takes.
problem.
So you're a 15 or 16, 17-year-old boy. You are driven by biology to procreate.
Yes.
So you're either going to be inflicting your attentions on one of your peers who's, let's be honest, not ready for it. She's going to get hurt emotionally. Or you can have a safer, albeit technically illegal, outlet with a woman who knows what she's doing. You're not going to hurt her. You know what I mean? Like, this is harm reduction.
Now admitting that Emmanuel Macron was only 14 when they met, when he was in that play. 15, she says, whenever this affair happened. And
I'll just go with 15 and say that's wrong.
Yeah.
Isn't that child molestation?
Theme, it's the larger point that Buchanan is making, that perhaps American involvement in World War II was a mistake. That people are upset about, and that I think you can take him to task over, because I think it's a wrong and in some ways an odious point.
I think the story we got about World War II is all wrong.
I think that's right.
And you could hardly say that this country won that war. In what meaningful sense?
The summer after my freshman year, my roommate and I decided to go down to Nicaragua for the summer and work and, get involved in the war.
I think anybody, by the way, who serves in a foreign military should lose his citizenship immediately.
Sharia is intolerant. Women have, in the Quran, fewer rights than men do. I think that in every Muslim majority country in the world, non-Muslims are treated, have fewer rights.
Sharia law is bad, Seth. I don't know if you've heard that. It's bad. It's worse than what's happening in New York and Detroit. It's just bad.
Does he have Asperger's? Has anyone ever asked him that?
I was just thinking, is he possessed?
Well,
I'm sorry.
Didn't he say he was attacked by a demon?
Did he?
Yeah.
Did he, Mrs.
He said,
Maybe he meant to say I was purchased.
He said he was attacked by a demon, and it left marks on him. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. Here we go.
The presence of evil is kickstarting people to wonder about the good.
That's what happened to me.
That's what happened to you?
Oh, yeah. I had a direct experience with it.
In the milieu of journalism, or just...
Nope, in my bed at night, and I got attacked while I was asleep with my wife and 4 dogs in the bed and mauled. Physically mauled.
In a spiritual attack by a demon?
Yeah, by a demon. Or by something unseen that left...
Is that right?
Claw marks on my sides, on my...
So it left physical marks?
Oh, they're still there. Yeah. A year and a half ago.
Was your wife terrified? I know you were.
I wasn't. I was totally confused. I woke up and I couldn't breathe, and I thought I was going to suffocate, and I walked around outside, and then I walked in, and my wife and dogs had not woken up, and they're very light sleepers. And then I had these terrible pains on my rib cage and on my shoulder, and I was just in my boxer shorts, and I went and flipped on the light in the bathroom, and I had 4 claw marks on either side underneath my arms and on my left shoulder, and they're bleeding.
Wait, they were bleeding?
They're bleeding, yeah. No, they're actual claw marks. And I sleep on my side, so I wasn't clawing myself. I don't have long nails. And they didn't fit my hands anyway. But yeah, that happened. So I'm not from a world where things like that happen. I never heard of anything like that happening before. I had no idea what that was. I knew it was spiritual immediately.
You did? Okay, that was going to be my question.
Yeah.
There we go. We have our answers. I'm so glad you played that, because most of my questions are answered now.
Why, Annie?
I mean, I guess if it was bleeding, there was an infection that was never taken care of, and that demon got into him. And honestly, those laughters are just creepy.
Right? Aren't they?
I felt more uncomfortable than I have ever felt listening to Kamala laugh. But again, you just follow the money, the popularity, the rating, the views, the clicks. That's where Tucker is at.
He's more popular now than ever.
Yeah, because that's the thing. The video from the time of, women in the Quran have lesser rights than man, which is one of the most accurate things I've ever heard, by the ways, because that's lesser, not less, because man don't have as many rights as we have either here as freedom. But that time was when the entire country was very much, up in arms about counter jihad and we got to stop the Islamization. So it fit the narrative of popularity back then. But then things changed. Anti-Semitism became fashion. Pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas, pro-Sharia became a thing. So he switched the narrative. And I think it's going to get worse. With Tucker and Candace, it's going to get worse.
How about with the whole MAGA movement? How about with the America First movement? How about with so-called Christians? How long is it, Annie, before... I mean, already, I don't have hardly anything to do with any of the churches in our area because most of them aren't churches. They're social clubs. They don't, most of them teach the Bible. If they do, they don't teach it in context. I mean, there's a church right up the road that we wanted to rent. I've told the story a million times. We wanted to rent their fellowship hall a few years ago for our Contend conference for young people. It was a free apologetics worldview conference. We had like 500 young people from all over the country. And we did this like 3 years in a row. And we wanted to rent their building to use. And the church up the road said, what are you going to be talking about? And I gave them the list. And in the list was creation versus evolution. And the church administrator stopped me and he said, do you have to speak on something so controversial? I'm like, you mean creation versus evolution? Okay. The known laws of the universe apply to reality versus evolution. Billions and billions of good mutations, supposedly, right? That you have intelligence coming from non-intelligence, matter from non-matter. Everything is contradictory of the known laws of the universe. This is controversial. This is a church in our area that is considered conservative. And then one Sunday, one of these associate pastors was preaching, and he was preaching that the rapture had already happened. I'm like, oh, wow, we are all toast. You guys realize we've been left behind.
He actually claimed that rapture has already happened?
Oh, yeah, this is called preterism or partial preterism. Very, very growing and popular. And so this is what you got going on. And when between pastors in the area caught plagiarizing their sermons to, all kinds of other shenanigans going on. There's just nothing left in the area, okay? Then you got Masons sitting on deacon boards, Masons. At the highest levels of the Masons are the Shriners, who wear their little red hat with the crescent moon and sword of Islam and swear allegiance to Allah. And these guys are deacons in local Baptist churches. I mean, there's nothing left to go to here in this area. And I've been here 21 years next year. So I'm telling you, I know the area. Not that there aren't a few smaller, good Bible teaching churches to a degree. I actually take that back. To a degree, they'll say, it's okay. Sunday, we got a good sermon. The next Sunday, it was off the wall. The next Sunday, it's off the wall. Then we get a good sermon. So it depends. It's inconsistent is what I'm saying. I'm not saying you can't walk in and get a sermon and go, wow, that was actually pretty good. But the next week, you have no idea what you're going to get. And they're certainly never going to talk about any of the issues of the day and say, let's go to the Bible. Because they don't want to take a stand on most of these issues. And this is in the stinking Bible Belt, right? But the point I'm making is we're already not comfortable with the majority of the churches in America today. We don't fit in with the majority of so-called Christianity in America today, what we believe, what a lot of this audience believes, what those that listen to my 74 Christian radio stations I'm on every day believe. We're already not welcome in the Republican Party. They don't follow the platform. They don't like the platform. And so what I'm asking is, give it a few more years. The churches, many of them don't accept our position on Israel. They don't accept our position on so many issues. You and I and the viewers of this audience are being increasingly marginalized and characterized, and we don't have, many of us, churches. We don't have a political party. We don't have affiliations that we really fit in anymore other than each other, which is why our network is growing, because more of these people that have no place to find common ground, well, they're finding us. But you and I are finding that even the MAGA world, the America First world now, is being infiltrated and leaving us behind.
Absolutely. And I really think in a couple of years, Brannon, we won't have many churches left.
I
End of
agree.
story.
100%.
A lot of these churches that are already infiltrated, they're going to become Chrislam churches. They're going to be so deeply involved with interfaith dialogue that there won't be much churches. And the small group of churches that might still be standing and open, they're not going to be safe at all. And as far as MAGA and America First, my own reasoning to walk away from MAGA, the hardest moment of my life when I had to, put aside my very gorgeous MAGA hat, not the red one, the fancy one I had, it was the moment I realized that a lot of MAGA members are forgetting who the real king is, and they're replacing him with their guy. I was like, I can't been there, remember? Raising a cult. I see a cult when I spot one. Like, there's no way anybody can hide this cult system from me. Not saying Trump created the cult. The followers created the cult for themselves. So that was my moment. And yes, any person we know, anyone out there, I mean, he's the only way. So if anybody believes that except Jesus, anyone else can save us, then we know where that's going. They will betray those of us who do believe.
Well, Laura Loomer is now all over social media talking about all the Islamists that are still in the Trump administration and in the State Department. She's naming them and calling them out.
Well, forget about those who are still there. Remember that I came on your show with a long expose of the 4 new ones coming in?
One that just did 20 years in jail, right?
Exact. Convicted, judge for 20 years, served 13 years. But yes, it's okay. We can say he missed those who are still. He welcomed new ones. And he's still welcoming more new ones.
And why was that guy in jail again?
He was convicted of training and funding terrorism.
And he's on the
terrorism.
And he's on the faith-based initiative, right?
Yes, absolutely. Right inside the White House. Right inside the White House. He walks right into the White House every day, especially Fridays for Friday Islamic prayer.
Mm-hmm. You guys want to see, by the way, before we close, do you want to see the border between Egypt and Gaza? Look at this. What's that, Logan?
Look at that.
Isn't that something, Annie?
Right? Nobody is calling Egypt, I don't know, Islamophobe, occupier, I don't know, whatever they call us, right? Nobody's calling. It's amazing, Brannon, that a lot of people didn't know. Like, seriously, have you ever even looked at the map? Or you just watch the map mainstream media shows you?
Yeah, they don't realize Egypt butts right up next to part of Gaza, do they?
The majority of numbers of comments on my Who's Starving Gaza Substack was, oh, I didn't know. I'm like, that's why it's in there. Because I know how things work. I know how information is being fed to public. And until today, everybody's keeping Egypt out of it. And by the way, I'm not blaming Egypt. Good for them. They got their own Islamic issues. But point is, most Americans then weren't even aware that there's a second country to bring in and blame and attack. But no.
Are you hearing that Egypt is going to start training like 10,000 soldiers to go into Gaza and help clean it up? Are you hearing that?
I have not heard that from a reliable source. I have seen, but I have not been able to actually confirm. I almost highly doubt it because Egypt has been very clear where they stand from day one.
Yeah, it did seem a little hard to believe when I read the report too. I'm like, really? Are they really going to go? I don't see them wading into that.
No, Egypt has been very clear that they don't want to have any part, good, bad, or ugly. They don't want to have anything to do with that Gaza area. Nothing. If it one day they did, the last time, the press release was about Gaza from Egypt, they did say if one day Gaza becomes a civilized town, we might start doing business with them. But the walls aren't coming down. Even then, the walls aren't coming. See? They even have walls.
Let me ask you this in closing. What do you think is going on with the ships and troops being sent to Venezuela?
That is something I wish we had an hour to talk about. There's a lot for me to say about that, Brannon. A lot.
Does it have anything to do with Iran? Does it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll make a bullet point, and if there's time available next week, I will come back to literally open it up for your audience. But here's the thing. Quick connecting dots. When I released my Iran nuclear bomb plan B Substack, I named Venezuela as the biggest key player in bomb without borders made by Iran outside of Iran through its ally countries. Venezuela has the longest paragraph of explanation. Also, I mean, you have reported, I have reported on the connection between not just Iran, specifically IRGC owning Venezuela's land to do whatever they need to do, building missiles, smuggling their people, getting their people through Venezuela safely to Mexican cartels to come into the U.S., all of that. Now, recently, the last man standing that I still trust in Trump administration, Hegseth, came out and confirmed that U.S. Air Force has requested 16 replicate made of Iran's Shahed 361 missiles. And immediately my question is, wait, why? They claim for training. No, they want to study Shahed 361 because Shahed 361 is mainly produced in Venezuela. So when they go in, they know what to look for, they know where to go, and they know how to defuse. That's the shortest version of it, but I do believe this is 100% about shutting down IRGC in Venezuela.
And one of the other benefits, of course, is there's lots of oil there, so maybe we're going after some oil.
Well, but that's the thing. We know we cannot get to that oil unless we clean up IRGC from Venezuela. That's a given fact nobody can argue. So yes, we're going to clean them up first.
And I guess the ships have arrived. Here we go. Listen to this.
7 vessels, including 3 guided missile destroyers, to the waters off Venezuela to combat threats from Latin American drug cartels. Venezuela's defense minister announcing a significant drone deployment in response, including naval patrols along the Caribbean coast. Congressman, I want to get your reaction to this.
So is it really about the drug cartels, or is that just one of many reasons? That's just cover for right now.
It is cover for now. And this is going to end up being a war between IRGC and U.S.
Could this turn into...
I'm praying this will be the opening for Israel to go back into Iran.
Could this turn into a place where we have boots on the ground or literally fighting on the ground over there?
We shouldn't need to if it's managed properly. They don't have the manpower. They have the weaponry, but
and
not the manpower.
And the people would probably be on our side. The people would be on our side, I think, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
But I got video of them a few years ago, one of my documentaries, under their hyperinflation, eating out of literal garbage trucks. Literally. I mean, that was the middle class. They had middle class polo button downs. They were the middle class. And they were literally having to eat out of garbage trucks.
Yes. We shouldn't need to be boots on the ground, but again, we've seen plans go wrong. Hopefully it won't this time.
And do a little more research if you can to see if there's any proof that Iran has been putting missiles in northern Venezuela and Caracas. You know, that
the proof is on my Substack.
It's all on your Substack.
Iran's nuclear plan B, bombs beyond borders, that Substack has the proof of IRGC not only stacking missiles, but also building missiles.
Okay. Now, you know, we've been reporting on that on Worldview Tube here on my radio show probably since like 2008, 9, or 10, somewhere in there. You can look it up in our archive. And there's a flight that goes from Tehran into Venezuela, and it's the government. So what are they doing? And there's very few people talking about this. And when you go and try to find the information, it's not easy to find. Why? I mean, and I was saying back in 2008, 9, 10, whatever it was, we started reporting on that. This could end up being our own Cuban Missile Crisis, the Venezuelan Missile Crisis, because this is 1,264 miles as the crow flies from Caracas, northern Venezuela, to Miami.
Yes. You don't think IRGC picked Venezuela randomly, do you?
No. So why?
And don't forget, 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, Argentina stopped a flight going to Venezuela. Every passenger was IRGC members. I mean, here's your proof right there.
And so what you're saying on your Substack is that they are putting missiles there, and it obviously is to target the U.S., and that what Trump is doing is he's going to have to do a regime change to protect America.
Absolutely. Yes.
Now, why doesn't he, in your mind, why doesn't he just tell the American people? Because you and I are talking about it. I knew about it before his first term. So why is no one else talking about this?
Few reasons. Number one, unfortunately, again, popularity. Right now, American people will cheer Trump way more for fighting against drug cartels than trying to get rid of IRGC.
Okay.
That's number one. Number two, he just saved the monster, Khamenei. It's kind of contradictory to say, hey, I knew who he is and what he's doing in Venezuela, but I spared his life. That could have a bad backlash. So we're keeping that part under the radar for less complication.
At what point is, and I got to let you go, but at what point is Iran pushed that they actually release one of these missiles in Venezuela that many of us believe are there?
As soon as President Trump stopped playing along and doing what some of us have been praying for him to do, meaning giving green light to Israel to go in and finish the regime. And that's what I'm saying. I think this is the backup plan. They're going to clean up Venezuela, then give Israel the green light to go in and finish.
LiveUpToFreedom.com. I mean, everything we talked about, she's got a Substack on it. That's pretty remarkable. There it is, liveuptofreedom.substack.com, liveuptofreedom.substack.com, and she's on each and every day at 3 p.m. Central, 4 Eastern, right here on Worldview Tube. Annie Cyrus. Annie, as always, thank you.
Now, of course, can I just add one sentence before I leave? Because amazingly, such a blessing, but every time I'm on your show, and recently, my go-to necklace is the one I'm wearing right now. I immediately get 5 to 7 emails asking where I got the cross because they want to get one. It's my own handmade cross. Ladies, if you'd like to have one, just email me instead of asking where I got it. Just tell me how many in what color you want, and I will make it for you.
Well, there you go. And then you can find out more at lutfstudio.com, lutfstudio.com. There you go. LiveUpToFreedom.com. Those are all handmade by Annie herself. Right, Annie?
Yes, sir. All handmade by myself.
There you go. Have a great Labor Day weekend.
Thank you. You too, Brannon.
LiveUpToFreedom.substack.com and lutfstudio.com. All right. Are you registered for our big fall conference? I keep promoting it because I want you there. We're going to be filming and live streaming, but we're also going to be filming and turning a lot of the conference into, well, a documentary coming up in 2026. We'd love to have you be a part of it. Meet these folks in person. There's the lineup, all of their bios, all their information. Just go to worldviewstore.com, worldviewstore.com. And when you get there, you'll see a banner. You can just click that banner if you want to, and they'll bring you there. These are all the topics. Look at the amazing topics we're covering, folks. I mean, it's crazy. Cutting edge. There's their bios of all the different speakers. You don't want to miss out. Worldviewstore.com, worldviewstore.com. The schedule is there, the restaurants we recommend, the links to the hotel. Guys, we got to get the links to the hotels back. Oh, we got to get those on there because we negotiated specials with them. We got to get those back on there. But there you go. Worldviewstore.com. Get registered, folks. Now, if you have a membership, whether monthly or annually, you'll be able to live stream it. But you have to have a membership to the Vault. Worldviewtube.com/vault. Worldviewtube.com/vault. And you'll be able to live stream it. But we'd much rather have you in person. Okay? We'll be right back after this break.
True beauty isn't applied. It's nourished from within. Bella Grace Elixir, a luxurious, scientifically crafted blend designed to restore radiance, vitality, and strength at a cellular level. At the heart of Bella Grace Elixir lies cat's claw, a powerful herb from the Amazon known for its ability to control inflammation and protect collagen. With Verisol collagen peptides, it goes beyond the surface, stimulating your body's natural collagen production to reduce fine lines, improve skin elasticity, and promote real, visible change. Bella Grace Elixir doesn't stop at collagen. It includes astaxanthin, one of nature's most powerful antioxidants, 6,000 times stronger than vitamin C, Astaxanthin protects your skin from harmful UV rays and environmental stress, while locking in hydration and promoting a radiant, youthful glow. Experience the power of nature with Bella Grace Elixir at melissahousebg.com. Discover the science behind Bella Grace Elixir at melissahousebg.com. Read powerful testimonials from doctors and real customers who've experienced life-changing results, and explore other wellness products from Bella Grace. Bella Grace Elixir is more than just a product. It's a solution. Visit melissahousebg.com today.
All right, folks, we're going to go and get a tour of Jericho here. Now, this is, again, Aaron, our reporter, and our personal tour guide. And these are made available to you through our organization and brought to you in part through our foundation. So if you appreciate that we have Aaron, our reporter, there, and then we send him out to do these little tours for us, well, then we need your support. Please consider going to worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. You'll also find our mailing address there if you prefer to support us through the mail, worldviewfoundation.com. I am so thankful we're getting through August, because June, July, and August are always months where giving seems to be down. And so I always am thankful when August is over, not only because of the August heat here, but because it means people finally have their schedules back normal, and they're thinking about, well, things like making contributions. So my wife said to me today, I think people are starting to get back to normal. My phone's ringing more. And so I'm like, praise the Lord, because maybe they'll start giving again more regularly. But some people, you do, and we thank you. Others, again, everything just slows down in the summer. So I'm glad we're going into Labor Day, into September, and things can get back to normal, because our bills, they just show up. Isn't that funny? Giving and things can drop, but our bills, they just never drop. They just keep showing up month after month after month. So again, we're thankful to get through the summer months, and we're thankful for all of you that are consistent supporters and donors. And if you've never contributed to us, folks, look at all we do. It's available on demand, free of charge, worldviewtube.com, not to mention our Sunday night Bible study as I'm going through the book of Revelation, all brought to you in part by our foundation, worldviewfoundation.com. Logan, the new website, lastdaysstudy.com. Take a look at this, lastdaysstudy.com. This is now 47, I think it's 47 at the bottom of the page. Yeah, 47 one-hour lessons, my teaching through the book of Revelation, all now free. We brought it out from behind the paywall to make it free, brought to you by our foundation. All right, keeping ministry front and center. This is our Sunday night church service. Now, I will not be teaching this Sunday night because it's Labor Day weekend. I'm taking a break. I'm going to work in the yard, do a few other things like that. So, but you can catch up on the study if you've never seen my Sunday night study, or if you have, you want to revisit it, or share it with family and friends. It's all there. Lastdaysstudy.com. Last days. Yeah, you're going to end up with two S's in a row when you spell that out. Lastdaysstudy.com, as I teach verse by verse through the book of Revelation. I do hope you'll share it with your family and your friends, all right? A lot of people interested in this topic. All right, now, let's go get a tour of Jericho from our reporter on the ground in Israel, Aharon Levarko.
Well, hi everyone, once again. Aharon Levarko from Jericho right now. And you know where I'm standing? I'm standing on very, very kind of almost sacred ground. This is a hill or a mound of dirt, and archaeologically speaking, this is called a tell, a T-E-L. And a tell is a mound of dirt or a hill made up of different periods of history. We have many, many tells in Israel. Tel Shiloh, Tel Chatzor, Tel Beersheba, Tel Aviv, and here is Tel Jericho, Tel Jericho. And this has many, many layers, probably about 7 or 8 major key layers of histories. And what would happen is you'd be living on the lower layer, and then either it would be left or destroyed or attacked or burned. And then the conquering people would come and they would build on top. And sometimes they would use the stones, the rooms, the water systems, the tunnels, the storage rooms, the silos, whatever remains were left that were useful, they would use. And you can see some of the walls here to behind me from periods going back 7th century BC, the Bronze Age, the Iron Age. As I said earlier, Jericho is, you know, some people claim it goes back thousands and thousands of years. But archaeologists, they've been able to uncover this tell. And one of the most exciting discoveries they found was a wall and a house that is attached to that wall. Now, what does that remind you of? Do you remember the story when Joshua and the Israelites, they came on the conquest about 1250, 1300 BC. And there was a lady called Rahab, who was a prostitute. By the way, this Rahab is mentioned in our Lord's genealogies. She was the grandmother of Boaz. Remember that story I told about the Moabites and how the Moabites were born out of an incestual relationship when Lot and his two daughters got him drunk. They slept with him. One gave birth to Ammon, from where we get the Ammonites, and one gave birth to Moab, from where we get the Moabites. Interestingly, the name Moab, from the word Ab, Moab means from my father. That's what she named her child. And from the Moabites came Ruth. And Ruth married Boaz, and they had a child, and from their lineage came David. But Boaz's grandmother was Rahab the prostitute, and she hid the spies here. It was here in Jericho that the spies came out, and they knew that they were in trouble, so Rahab hid them. And she said, "Remember me." And they were spared because she covered them, and as a favor, the good Lord, after the Israelites marched around the walls, remember, 6 days they were marching around. They were told to be quiet. Then on the 7th day, the Shabbat, the Sabbath, they were told to blow the shofar 7 times. And what happened? The walls came crashing. Now, it's believed that there was an earthquake right at that moment. It could have been the loud noise, and the Lord intervened right at that moment. So I'm not taking away the miracle, because it was a miracle because of the timing. And what's interesting is that the archaeologists have actually found traces of an earthquake traced back to that time period, number one. But number two, everyone, is what you see right here behind me down in this valley. It's hard to see because they're doing more excavations over it. But that right down behind me, maybe I can go down to the side here. But that is the remains of a wall dating back to about 1250, which is believed to be the period of the conquest. And attached to that wall, which let's have a look if we can see it closer, under the workers' tent, because it's very, very hot, there is a remains. That's actually the wall down here. And what is underneath that canopy are remains of a house which is attached to the wall. Friends, could that be the wall that remained, and could that be the house of Rahab the prostitute? See, that's one of those things that as a tour guide and as an archaeologist, you have to, it's almost like being a detective. You have to try and put the pieces together, try to reconstruct what's going on with evidence and with written documents. And I personally, I lean toward it being her house and the wall. But I can't say 100% for sure. But but it really is exciting when you find archaeology at places like Tells, and it strengthens the credibility of the Bible that was written hundreds and hundreds, thousands of years ago. And being in Jericho, coming to places like this, you know, we are people of faith, but coming and seeing some of the archaeological evidence strengthens the biblical claims, the narratives, the accounts. And I just love that. So, you know, lastly, on that story of Joshua, remember, Joshua means salvation. That's the theme of the book of Joshua, salvation. And he's a picture of our leader, the one greater than Joshua, Yeshua, which also means salvation. And we invite him into our battles, our fights. We get the strategies from him, just like the Israelites got the strategy, how to take the city. And may he, just like he did many hundreds of years ago, may he bring down any walls of animosity, unforgiveness, resentment, misunderstanding, prejudice, lies, and may he do miracles in our day just as he did many, many years ago. Well, shalom everyone. Aharon Levarko here, once again, standing here in the land of Israel on behalf of Worldview Television and Radio. And I'm standing here in the most ancient, still inhabited city in the world, Jericho. Although that is debated among some people because some people believe it's actually Damascus. Damascus isn't too far from here. There's actually a prophecy in Isaiah 17 that one day that city will cease from being a city, and with all the tensions and wars and rumors of wars going on in that region, that prophecy may be fulfilled very soon. But back to where I am. I am standing in what's called Jericho. Now the Hebrew word Jericho is Jericho, and it's from the word Yareach, which means moon. And every month, thousands of years ago until today, we celebrate a new moon, which is like a new month. When the Israelites came into the promised land through the leadership of Joshua, Jericho was the first place that they conquered. Remember what happened? The angel of the Lord met Joshua and told him to take off his shoes. The place that he's standing on is holy ground. And then finally they were given the strategy. And I think that that's really important when you look at the history of the Israelite battles and victories and defeats. The strategies that they were given. In this case, they were told to march around the walls and then blow the shofars. In a minute, we're going to see some remaining walls. But where I am standing here, this is today's modern Jericho. It's a combination of old and new. You've got lots of fruit and agriculture. For example, over here, you've got lots of date palms because the ancient dates of Jericho are world famous. So you've got these date palm trees. The date palm was very, very important for a number of reasons. For building, you would use the trunks. And then you've got the bark. The barks of the tree were used for things like making baskets or ropes. Then you've got the branches. If you look up, fantastic shade. In fact, this was the main materials used for roofing. When you wanted to build a roof, for example, remember the story in the New Testament when they wanted to lower the man in the roof? These branches would probably be the roofing, where they would tie the branches together, put it over the structure, then get some dirt with some water, make it into mud, and fill in the gaps on the roof. But Jericho also, you've got lots of mangoes, you've got bananas, You've got a low, where we are is in a low kind of a valley where there is a lot of underwater springs. The water anywhere is crucial, especially in this very hot Judean desert, where today it's only like 10:30 in the morning and it's already about 90 degrees. But in the summer, in the middle, in the heat of the day, it gets up to about 110 degrees or 42 degrees Celsius. So water was always crucial. In fact, it was here that King Herod, 2,000 years ago, he had a palace with pools and, but again, you can't have pools without water. So the underground springs were crucial. In the Old Testament, there's actually a story about the waters. During the days of Elisha, the prophet, in those days, it says in the book of 2 Kings, it says that the people of the city were going through a terrible crisis because the water had become contaminated. And because of the contamination, people were dying and women could not give birth. They were barren. So Elisha the prophet comes along. He tells the people to get a container, put salt in that container with the bitter waters, and then he, by the Spirit of God, made those bitter waters become clean. And he said, "Thus says the Lord, no longer will there be barrenness or death." And I love that story because it's a picture of our Lord who comes into our bitter, dead experiences. It's also a prophetic message for our nation, because according to the Bible, our people are like the dead bones. But through the ministry of our Lord, who brings life from death, and then people like you and I, who he calls the salt of the earth. And for your information, in those days, salt, which we get a lot from the Dead Sea, which is just down the road, was one of the three main ingredients used. Salt not only was used for taste and adding taste to your food, but it was also a disinfectant. Remember when the Lord said that if salt loses its saltiness, it's neither good for the ground nor the dunghill. In those days, you would go outside of the house to do your business. And then afterwards, you would take salt and you would put it on top of your business. And it would act as a disinfectant. Are you ready to be used as the salt of the earth and go into dirty, smelly, horrible places, get involved in people's lives who are broken, who are messed up, who are fractured? That's our call. But what a joy when we see the outcome, just like the story of Elisha. And this fountain here is a memorial to that story, where Elisha put the salt into those contaminated waters, and through his blessing, the whole city was changed from being cursed, from barren, to bringing life and fruitfulness. What an amazing story, and what a call for you and I when the Lord says, "You are the salt of the earth."
Joining me now is Michael Weiner. Michael, I want to talk to you about the banks. I think the banks are in big trouble. Yesterday, I did a huge segment here on growing concerns about the Genius Act. Here's a great article right here at the Bit Journal. Genius Act sparks fears of bank deposit outflows to crypto. And it goes into the fact that now under the Genius Act, there's more things that are going to allow people to do things that they couldn't do before. It's all under the guise of regulation, but it's also freeing up people. States now are going to be able to do cryptocurrencies. And now we have big companies, even box stores, doing stable coins. And I guess you'll be able to go on there, take your money out of the bank, put it into stable coins, and then use those coins to purchase things with those companies. All of this is encouraging outflows out of the bank. And as I said yesterday, when you're dealing with fractional reserve banking and you take in $1, loan out 90 cents, keep 10 cents, some of these banks are not going to be able to handle this outflow. And as the dollar confidence of the American people decreases, as evident by gold and silver also rising, they're going to say, I don't trust this dollar. And they're going to look to go other places. And of course, how many of these banks can afford to lose too many more deposits before they're in a financial crisis and there starts to be bank failures, which make it easier to merge and roll us into this new system? I got a lot of articles on this, Michael. Here's another one. Genius Act revives Civil War era banking problem for states. And it goes into how these states are now able to create their own little, I guess, coins. Here we have the implications are staggering. While private companies face a gauntlet of federal licensing requirements, 100% high-quality reserve mandates, monthly attestations, and criminal penalties, blah, 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 state governments can launch competing stablecoins with minimal federal oversight. Talks about the many states from Nebraska to Wyoming that are now doing this. That's just a little bit of what I want to talk to you about. How do you think this is going to impact banks, Michael, and thus your deposits and the average viewer tonight?
This is something that we said a month ago. This is something that I brought up a month ago on the show. Again, Worldview Weekend and Worldview Gold ahead of the schedule. We warned people when the Genius Act passed that there was a hook in there for the banks to convert your money without your permission to stablecoin. Now, I got a news flash for all these people out here. It's not only banks. Any agency that is federally regulated can convert your money from staple to stablecoin. So if you have an account at Merrill Lynch or Edward Jones and they say, here's your dollar value, they'll say, here's your stablecoin value. So this is an epidemic. And it's not something that the banks are going to be in trouble. The banks are not going to be the ones suffering. Ladies and gentlemen, you are. Wes and I have warned you. We have been sending out emails telling people, some people to no avail, to contact us regarding this exact issue. We continually say on the show, as we said for 18 years, even back in the radio, we don't wait for something to happen. We warn you ahead of time. We have been on top of this for the last 45 days. And when I literally sit back and I hear people say to me, well, I call my financial planner, he thinks, oh, I got more degrees than your financial planner. More importantly, let's just put it this way. Did they call you on 2008 and warn you the markets was going to crash? Literally, I tend to doubt it. Because we're not trained to. I used to be a stockbroker, and we are trained to wait till the problem happens because otherwise you'll liquidate. The bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, this banking problem is not just banking. It is straight across the financial world. We are heading into a new financial world. It's like for the older people like me that are archaic, when the phones used to be dial-up, they went to push button, and now we don't even have phones in our house. We have a little cell phone. We don't even keep a phone in the house. We used to go to the video store, Blockbuster Video. Saturday night, it was a big hangout place back in the 80s and 90s. They're gone. The world is changing, but the world financially is not changing in years. In months, it's changing. In the next 12 to 18 months, you are going to go through a metamorphosis. And if you don't create your own bank, and what we said to you is create offsetting with gold to offset the reduction and changes that you will suffer in the banks and other areas, you will not recover as you might want to. This is a warning. Remember the date and time I've said it.
Yep, and we're not the only ones saying it, by the way. There are others, not many, but there are others out there that are trusted voices that I trust in the the commentary of finances, doing podcasts and shows on this. Here's another headline. Wall Street reacts to Genius Act as stable coin market eyes $2 trillion growth. $2 trillion. Where's that money going to come from, Michael?
From the people's accounts. You've got to understand, who's going to pay for this conversion is not the brokerage firms and it's not the government. It's us. We will pay for this. You'll be docked for this. There'll be just like what's called backdoor money in your mutual funds, where you've got to find out when you sell out, you're paying backdoor money. Google it, ladies and gentlemen, backdoor money. Reality is you will pay for it. They won't. So this is why we're telling you it's going to happen. You can either sit back and let it happen and then try to fix it later. It's like cause and effect. You can either be prepared or not. And we are being prepared by offsetting your position and balancing your estate. You can not only overcome this, you can take advantage of this. It's the same thing when Brannon used to be talking years ago about freeze-dried foods, about the phone systems that we were talking about all the situations that he has brought up, and all of them are on the forefront right now.
Yep.
And he was talking about it years ago.
Yep.
Years ago.
Yep.
And that's why. Go ahead, Brandon. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying, yep. And I'll tell you something. I don't know. I'm concerned we're going to have inflation, hyperinflation. How concerned are you about hyperinflation?
I'm concerned about deflation. I think we'll go through deflation.
Do you think we will have a hyperinflation depression?
I think we're going to have a deflationary monetary system that's going to be devalued and revalued. I believe
so. You don't see inflation in some markets and deflation in others.
Now, I see what's more important, which will affect inflation, will deflate, will be the devaluation and revaluation. What I mean by that is they're not going to, everybody was concerned they're going to get rid of paper money. That's not how they're going to do it. They're going to convert everything you have in a gradual manner, just like in 1971, when we said last week, when they changed your money from silver certificates to Federal Reserve notes, you didn't even know it happened. It just happened. Well, understand the fact that all of a sudden, all of your holdings will be in stablecoin. And then all they need to do is readjust the value of the stablecoin. And guess what? That affects those dollars in your wallet. And eventually, the dollars in your wallet will disappear because there'll be no need for them. They won't be useful.
But in the process, do you expect there to be an increase in the cost of products and services?
I think it's inevitable when you devalue things, the revaluation is going to cause things to cost more money. I call it revaluation, you call it inflation. They have to revalue at a higher price because the value of your dollar has gone down.
So that's inflation.
It's inevitable.
So
that's inflation.
Okay, so help me understand inflation and depression. How do you see both happening? Because I know there are people who believe we're headed for a hyperinflation depression.
I don't know about the depression side of it. I think there's going to be a new monetary system, and I think that it's going to involve devaluation, inflation, and then a new system. Unfortunately, for people to understand, this is not Donald Trump's idea. The world is doing it. China is going digital, going crypto, the whole 9 yards. Japan is, Australia is, the European Union is doing it. All these countries, the end of the year. European Union is going to be digital at the end of the year. Canada is going digital. Great Britain's going digital. Who's left? India's going digital. So they'll all be sitting back and devaluing their economies, but they are going to be using gold as an anchor, as a sort of value added into their digital money to try to say it's all stable. But the reality is this is going to be a global situation, not just in the United States. That's why President Trump jumped in, because either we lead it or we follow it.
Okay,
and
so you are expecting inflation. You are expecting to see everything cost more, right? You're expecting to see the decline of the purchasing power of the dollar, which is why hard assets are important. Land, houses, gold, silver, etc., right?
Dollars are going to be chasing staple coins. Staple coins are going to be chasing values, and values are going to go up. Inflation. Just remember in 1933 when Roosevelt devalued the money, devalued and revalued, people who didn't have mortgages in 1933, they lost their homes because they didn't have the money to pay the cost to carry. They didn't have the money. They moved into shanty towns that they're calling the middle of parks because they didn't have money. And these were wealthy people. These were people who were comfortable, but they lost the value of their estate. That's why we talk about balance. In those days, they took away your ability to own gold. Now we don't at this present time. And if you own the gold that we've been talking about for years, you insulate yourself.
And that's the numismatic. The numismatic is 1933 and older. Do you see gold? Do you see possible gold confiscation?
If the Democrats come into power, I do. And unfortunately, the people who own bullion and other types of metals, sometimes they say to us, well, you know, the numismatic, it costs more, I can get more. Well, sometimes more is not less.
Okay, let me make sure the audience understands what you're saying. The numismatic, folks, is 1933 and older. Sometimes it comes in a little plastic case that has a hologram on it. It's been graded and it's been certified. Sometimes the grade is not high enough to go into its own plastic case, so you just get it in a little tube. But they're numismatic. They're 1933 and older. And because of that, they're considered collectibles or antiques. And therefore, when you buy those from Swiss America, be it gold or silver, 1933 and older, Swiss America doesn't say, oh, John Smith just bought $10,000 in gold and report it to the government. They don't have to. It's by federal law, a private purchase. So there is no government database for them to go look at and say, oh, go get their gold if you have numismatic. And you can make money, although we're not really interested in making money, we're interested in preserving money. You can see an increase in your investment on the spot price, but also on the rarity price known as the numismatic price. And that might be a premium of $30 on the coin. Give them an example, for instance, a $20 Liberty. What a $20 Liberty gold piece?
$20 Liberty costs 10% more than a gold eagle, and it's worth 10% more than a gold eagle. So it's a wash. And performance-wise, and I was just telling one of our Willowview clients earlier today, it's gone up literally a couple $100 more over a few year period of time because of its rarity. We don't.
I want you to make sure again. I want you to make sure I understand. You take someone's portfolio who's just gone into straight bullion, just gold, silver, freshly minted gold, silver coins. You take their portfolio, you compare it to the portfolio of someone who went into numismatic, and in the same time period, they're making their investment.
Made more money.
Yeah, they made more money. And you and I have seen that over the years again and again. People will complain about, I don't want to buy that. I'm like, look, Michael isn't selling you this because he's trying to make a higher premium. He knows that you're going to make more money long term on the numismatic, on the spot price and the rarity price. And the thing, too, I understand is if gold were to start going down, it'll go down first in the spot and the numismatic will trail, giving you a chance to get out. But I don't think we have to discuss that in this market.
Numismatics don't drop as much because they have a collectible value, so they trail. The reality is that the Democrats, when people ask what are they capable of, they made gold illegal in the United States of America when we were backed by gold for 40 years. The Democratic Party made gold a felony to own in this country. Do I think they're capable of confiscating your gold? I think they're not only capable, I think they want to. They don't want to just confiscate your gold. They want to nationalize your retirement plan. And that's why we try to protect your IRAs and your 401ks, because they know there's trillions of dollars sitting there. And what better way to capture all that hard dollars by converting it into soft dollars and giving you a credit in your Social Security account. And the only one that benefits, you don't have your wife or your family benefiting from your retirement. The government gets your money. That's what they do in Europe. So right now, Brandon, what the big concern that people should have is we are going through a metamorphosis, and the banks are going to survive because they're going to do what's necessary to us to make them survive. Mm-hmm. And the ones that don't do that are going to take a hit and won't recover. And the government, at least under this administration, is going to be bailing the world out. This is a very tenuous time. All of these type of things are going to be going into effect in the fall, October, November. And right now, it's sort of the eye of the hurricane. This is a quiet time for people to act and not react and not call us up in all kind of hesitation and hurry. Oh, we got to talk. We got to talk. Well, okay, we can do that. But, to me, I like to be ahead of the curve. That's what frustrates Wes and I said it on the show last week. We've been reaching out to people, Brannon, for the last 45 days, telling them about this. I've been sending information to people, and people call me back, well, let's wait and see what happens. Oh, really? Okay.
Well, and what is it you say is coming?
The staple coin situation, the new currency, the revaluation of the world, and a new economic
That's coming
order.
this fall. You think that's coming this fall?
It's everybody signed up. It's going down. If you watched on last week, I talked about the president 3-4 weeks ago on one of the other channels, who went on from UBS Bank, Sergio Armoti stated he's looking at $5,000 gold, and gold will be the number 2 financial instrument in the world, number 2 behind the U.S. dollar reserve currency. And then you also look at the fact that Christine Lagarde, the gal who's the number 1 person at the European Union's monetary system. And what does she say? We are entering a new financial world, and you have to be prepared of how we're going to work with it. The European Union thinks we're ahead of the United States because of Biden. The United States is working on catching up.
And right now, gold, as we're on the air, is, what is it, guys? 33,000?
Right on the air. Right on the air.
Yeah.
34.19.
Over $3,400, $3,419. And man alive,
Correct.
do you remember when we were screaming and hollering and it was $500, $800, $1,000 and telling people this day was coming? And now here we are at over $3,400.
I've got a Worldview Weekend client who's retiring. He put in a substantial amount of money, six-figure money, mid-six-figure money with us. That's now worth over $1.5 million more from when he bought it.
So when he cashes in, can you make sure he sends a donation to our foundation, since apparently we help?
We will do that, and I think he already does, quite honestly.
Okay, good.
I can't mention names, but I can tell you this.
But what I'm saying is we have helped to educate a lot of people who've made a lot of money. Because, again, I don't get financial advice, I get financial opinion. But you're saying one of our Worldview guys years ago put in and turned 6 figures into 7 figures.
But owning a physical asset and not paper, and the beauty of it is we don't buy gold. And when we talk to people, we say we're not here to make you money. We're here to secure and protect your estate. As a sideline issue, I've always said gold has outperformed anything. In my lifetime, over the last 1,000 years, gold has gone up since I started in this market 82 times in value. Do you understand? 82 times. For every dollar, it's $82 more. For every $1,000, it's $82,000 more. For every $1 million, it's $82 million more. Do the math. I mean, the reality is they sat down with me, and the only reason I'm adding this, and they said, we're going to retire. They're 69. They said, what can we do to start drawing out some money? I said, well, you could draw out $100,000 a year, or $50,000, a year for the next 20 years, and that's all profit.
Gosh. And of course, silver is now, as we're on the air, what's silver at tonight?
Silver right now is at $39.01. And the United States government just announced, the United States government, that silver is in a critical position for availability. Critical. They have just stated that silver is now in critical mass, which means that it's looked upon as a critically positioned metal. And the problem is there's a lot of people hoarding it to do a push. And that's basically the BRICS people. They're the ones pulling the chain on this.
So the government is saying that there's not enough silver for industry.
Absolutely. They are saying that the United States government is basically saying that there is a shortage. I'm pulling up the information. I don't mean to be looking off the screen right now, but the United States government announced, it was 2 days ago, that silver is in a critical position, as it might be. Here it is. Silver has been declared critical. Silver has been declared critical, and the United States government has just reclassified silver as a critical mineral. That was 3 days ago. And the government is saying that there's some short games going on with it. The mining production, 820 million ounces. The demand is at 1.16 billion ounces. The deficit is 340 million ounces. This is no shocker. The U.S. government has elevated silver to a critical status. That's our own government. So when you can buy silver at $39, you're doing pretty darn good. Pretty darn
Gold
good.
and silver about to beeline to all-time highs, according to Fundstrat analysts. Let's wrap this up. But what do you see? What is your target again by end of the year with all this going to be happening this fall that you just talked about?
$4,000 gold and anywhere from $45 to $55 silver. I think a lot of things will start rolling forward. We're heading into our year end, and we have to come up with a new budget. And the communists, I don't call them Democrats anymore, the communists are not going to work to solve a problem. They're going to make it worse. And they don't care about sitting back. They want to roll it all forward and just come up with a resolution and not come up with a budget that the government wants to. This is going to be a battle. They want to keep the Biden era activities still available. And what's really interesting is the Republicans rolled over and approved all these people that Biden wanted and approved monetary exchange. And the Democrats fight us on hook and crook every single. They don't let Trump have his people, which is ridiculous. They fight everything that's right for this country. Who in their right mind as a mayor, if I was a mayor of a city and somebody said, hey, I'm going to send some help in to help crime in your city, why in my mind would I say no? Oh, my goodness, these are soldiers. Well, what's there to be embarrassed about an American soldier? Seriously? I mean, this is ridiculous. And these people, as mayor of Chicago, now they're playing the race card. Of course, the race card. Wonderful. It's the race card. I've been hearing that since 1967, and it's still rolling forward. Stop the race card. The race card's old news. What we need to do is come together as people in this country and make our country better for all of us, no matter race, creed, or color.
Let me have you comment on this as we close. U.S. debt crisis unfolds. Treasury secret liquidity moves. What's that about?
The government, what the secret liquidity move is about them revaluing gold.
Okay.
Gold right now is valued at $42.50, which is exactly what it was valued in 1933, May 1st. They've kept it at that level for over 90 years. That value and Passan says we have 251 million ounces of gold, the largest holder in the world. That's like $6.2 billion in value. If we revalue it, it's in the trillions at just to the spot price of gold. And that fills our coffers up. That's what central banks are doing.
And you think they're going to revalue it? You think they're going to do that?
I think they absolutely will revalue it.
And they're going to put it at what, 4,000 an ounce?
Well, no, they will go with whatever the spot price is in the market. But that puts the United States back in the gold business.
But if it's at 4,000 an ounce by the end of the year, that's what they would put it at.
They would have it at 4,000, but that'll help make it 5,000, what UBS is saying. China's putting gold involved with their currencies. They're all using it as a stable position.
And you think that will rocket gold up higher in price?
That's why B of A and JP Morgan said $6,000 gold. I still say when Trump leaves office, I know Jim Rickards is saying $20,000 gold. That's if the Democrats get in gold. I think it'll be $6,000 to $7,000 when Trump leaves office. And, you know, people could say we're crazy, but if I told somebody back in 2008 when gold was $448 an ounce, hey, guess what? In 17 years, gold's going to be $3,500. They'd start laughing at me.
Exactly
Literally,
right, they would.
Laughing at me.
100%. 100%. All right. Get your free packet, no obligation packet from Michael, Weiner, and Wes at worldviewgold.com. Worldviewgold.com. Just fill out the quick little form, hit submit. You'll get a free no obligation packet of information, or you can text Wes at 602-558-8585. Get your free no obligation packet. Times, they are a-changing. We don't get financial advice here, get financial opinion. My opinion is you should do your due diligence and get the free packet. Have a great Labor Day, Michael.
You as well, sir. I look forward to seeing you in a month.
Yeah, us too. Wow, he went off quick, didn't he? All right. He hangs up every time that fast, doesn't he? All right, that's our broadcast for tonight. Before we leave here, folks, again, please remember we're brought to you by you. Check out all of our sponsors at worldviewtube.com/sponsors, worldviewtube.com/sponsors. worldviewtube.com/sponsors, worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Roll the music. Let's call it a night. Hey, don't forget about getting your solar generator, getting your satellite phone. Did you know that they're selling over there at Worldview Talk a ton of the Faraday bags? Put your stuff in to keep it safe or to stop people from tracking you. Apparently, there's a huge spike in sales of that. Tina texted me about that today. She'll be back with us next week. WorldviewTalk.com, or use their phone number, 1-866-738-3224, 1-866-738-3224. And then again, don't forget about registering for our fall conference, Friday night, October 3rd, Saturday, October 4th. Be with us here in beautiful Cotterville, Tennessee. Otherwise, get a membership to the vault, whether monthly or annually, and you'll be able to live stream it. Worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, but get your tickets at worldviewstore.com. May God save America. Take care.
Responsibility. What we think about these depends on our worldview. Now, VCY America presents Worldview Radio with Brannon Howse.
And welcome to the broadcast. Glad you are with us here on this August 28th, 2025. Joining me for our Middle East update early, one day early, because the big Labor Day weekend starts tomorrow for most people, is Dr. Andy Woods of andywoodsministries.org. Dr. Woods, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Good to be here. Nice to be laboring on almost Labor Day.
Laboring on Labor Day. Yep. Let's see here, Dr. Woods. We got to get your take on Minneapolis. I'm going to have Annie Cyrus on tonight on Brannon Howse Live, because I think this is the epitome of the red-green axis. Everyone, a lot of people are talking about the anti-Semitism, things written, 6 million was not enough. Apparently, some of his classmates were saying that he used to say positive things about Hitler. That's what I'm hearing in the press. And he had the anti-Trump statements, this, as I said, anti-Semitic statements. And then, of course, his transgenderism. And I think this kid is a perfect example of the red-green axis. He is a product of Islam and its influence, whether he converted or not, and I don't think there's any indication he did. But the worldview of Marxism, the worldview of Islam, and the anti-Semitism shows me the red-green axis. Now, this is something most Americans know nothing about, but if you listen to this broadcast, hardly a week goes by, hardly a day goes by, we don't talk about the red-green axis. Red being Marxist, green being the Islamist. This is something that Americans had better pick up on and understand real fast if you want to understand the art of warfare, which is know your enemy. So I think this is a red-green axis worldview that just bore fruit. What are your thoughts, Dr. Woods?
Well, I agree. And, the verse that comes to my mind with this whole thing is you reap what you sow. I mean, here we got Tampon Tim, running things out there.
Putting those in the bathroom, boys.
Yeah.
Boys' bathroom.
Yeah, that, and we've got them as a sanctuary, abortion state. Hey, Texas, you can't get an abortion? Come over to Minnesota. And then he runs up the Minnesota flag. It sort of looks a lot like the Somalian flag to me. And, this is a guy that they push God out of everything, hate God. This is a guy that fires, paintballs at people during COVID to get them back into their houses, launches these draconian curfews. All he can do is talk about transsexual rights.
And wasn't he the one that was volunteering, by the way, when he was a teacher, volunteering for as a public school teacher for kids in high school that were queer or whatever they call them today?
Yeah, something like that. My point is, you reap what you sow. I mean, now you get the repercussions of his policies, and everybody sits around shocked that something like this happened. I mean, why would we be shocked? I mean, what really shocks me is why these kinds of things are not more frequent. You know, they malign Christians constantly. And, you know, here comes a shooter taking aim at some Catholic kids, you know, praying, you know, in a chapel, I guess, or in a, you know, prior to school or whatever it was. I mean, you know, you malign Christianity, you ridicule Christianity in the marketplace of ideas. You want to defund the police. You want to promote Islam everywhere. You want to promote the transgender, transsexual lifestyle everywhere. You promote total moral confusion. You're in favor of violence in terms of making Minnesota some kind of abortion sanctuary state. And so these are the logical outcomes of your policies. So don't sit around, Tim Walz, acting all shocked, you know, that this happened. I mean, it's, you know, the guy gets on the microphone and you see all this kind of feigned rage. You know, I can't believe this happened. You see Newsome, you know, out there in California with the same feigned rage, trying to tag this whole thing to Donald Trump. No, this is the outworking of liberal, Democrat, Marxist, humanist, Islamic policies that these guys have been pursuing from time immemorial. So if you put an apple seed into the ground, you know, don't be shocked when you get an apple tree, because the Bible is very clear: you reap what you sow. I mean, and shame on the people of Minnesota for putting, you know, sickos like this, you know, in charge of public policy. So you wanted my thoughts, you got them.
There you go. Thank you, Dr. Woods. I think a lot of the audience is cheering. All right, let's go to one of our first articles today. And that is this one here. It's happening. The Temple Institute declares prophetic moment on the Temple Mount. All right, maybe tell our audience about it and who